Hi guys, John Dennis here, Bequest Wellbeing. This is a series we call That's My Story. So this is just a bit of a backstory on how we came to do this work. Why I have such a passion for it. I've been doing it on and off for training wise for 20 odd years, and the major part of my story, this is the one that I call Faith or Fear. This is my motorbike accident I had in 1992 or 93, I think it was. And this is one of the ones that really set me off on the path of consciousness, or whatever you want to call it. So I was 22, 23 years old. I was at work that day. Work finished early. I went to work on my motorbike. I was in Sydney, Australia, and I thought, I finished work early. I'll go down to Circular Quay and have a look at the ships in the water and have a bit of a relax before I go home. So I'm on my way from work up to Circular Quay. I get to Town Hall, sitting at the traffic lights, red light, and I'm sitting there and waiting for the light, and all of a sudden I get this weird thought in my head. Wouldn't it be mad if a car just drove through a red light and smashed me off my bike? And I'm like, no, that would be mad, that'd be crazy, what are you talking about? And so then, still a few seconds later, I get this other impulse, this other urge, and it says, just go straight ahead instead of going left. So, well, Circular Quay's down that way. I could have went straight ahead and gone the other way, but I thought, no, it's straight that way, go that way. And then, so I've gone left instead of straight ahead. And I get two traffic lights down, and I'm just about to go through the traffic light. There's a car coming up the other way. I see it's about to turn right. I'm just in front of the traffic, so I back off the accelerator a bit, and then I see she stops to give way, and I thought, okay, she's seen me. I accelerate again, the other cars are close behind me, then bang, she hits. And so she turned through the light. I didn't see it was her at the time, I just didn't know what hit me. But bang, the car hits, and then it stops the bike dead, and I go to fly over the handlebars, but because the car's jammed my leg between the bike, instead of going straight over the handlebars, this leg tried to go through the handlebars, and it snapped right, my femur snapped through the handlebars, bent the cast iron handlebar forward, flipped me through the air several times, and as I'm flipping through the air, and then as I've landed, I've sort of covered my head thinking the cars behind me were going to run me over. They didn't run me over, luckily. And then I look up and my leg's pointing out from about halfway down my femur, straight out at a right angle. I'm like, oh my God, and then the blood is just shooting up out of my foot because I ripped all my shin and all my foot open as well. And the blood's shooting up in the air, looks like it's 6 foot in the air, and there's people around everywhere because peak hour in the city. And some lady's holding my hand trying to keep me comfort. Another lady runs over from Grace Brothers with a first aid kit, and she puts the bandage on my foot to try and stop the bleeding, and that pain was just intense again. So the poor lady that's hand I was holding, I crushed her hand so hard from the pain, I'm pretty sure I broke a bone in one of her hands. She's trying to help me, and the pain was just searing. I was trying to crawl up the little hole in the gutter to get away from it. It was just, it's a ridiculous amount of pain. Anyway, the ambulance turns up, they put the compression pants on and give me all the painkillers and everything, and they rush me off to the hospital. I get to the hospital, going for the operation, come out of the operation, they put a big rod down my femur, a few screws in, they stitched me all up and that. And anyway, when the car hit me, I'm in the hospital, but when the car hit, this voice came out of my gut and said, no, not again. And so when you have a motorbike accident, or when you have an accident, a major accident, everything slows down and you remember every detail, like every detail. It's like super slow-mo. You can remember every little thing. And so this voice, as the car's hit, it says, no, not again. And I'm lying in hospital going, what was that voice, no, not again? And how does a voice come out of my gut? I'm a young man, all the voices were in my head. I had a monkey mind like you wouldn't believe. And thousands of voices in my head, but I've never had a voice come out of my gut. How can a voice come out of your gut? Right down here in the gut. I was like, what was that? What? No, not again. What does that mean? I haven't had a bad motorbike accident before. I've had other accidents, but it doesn't relate to that. I drowned once when I was a kid and they brought me back, but it didn't feel like it had anything to do with that. And I'm like, what did that mean? No, not again. No, not again. So I've gone over that for days and days. Like, I lost 3/4 of my blood. I was in hospital for nearly 4 weeks. When my family came in, like the first visit, they seen how pale and white I was. They were nearly scared to death as well. But I was just lying there, so I had plenty of time to contemplate. And I'm lying there going, what does that voice mean? What did that voice mean? No, not again. And after a couple of days, maybe 3 days, the voice came back. And I was like, this voice came out of my gut again. And it's like, it's not out loud so the other guys in the bed could hear it, but it was not like a voice in my head. It was like a separate voice. And it said, not another lifetime where you fucked it up because you've been too scared to do what you want to do. And I was like, oh, like that shocked me, because at that stage in my life, I didn't really believe anything as far as religious or God or anything like that. But I'd had a lot of deja vus before that, and I'd seen a couple of accidents, so I was starting to contemplate, maybe there's an intelligence in the universe, maybe there's a force. Not God, but maybe life is deliberate and not accidental. And so that was starting to become part of my belief at this stage, because some of the earlier experiences, which you'll see in other videos. But that just threw me. Another lifetime? You mean I've been alive before? I'm lying there in the hospital bed going, I've been alive before? This is not my only body? Like I was another person? And that just threw me. I'm like, that's that crazy reincarnation shit. That was the thought that went through my head. I was like, the only reference point I had to that was some Hare Krishnas in Newtown when I was a kid, and they gave a little booklet on reincarnation, but I didn't believe anything like that. I wasn't even contemplating it as a God, just some sort of intelligence. And so this voice and that another lifetime, that means I've been alive before. And it, when it said another lifetime, it was more than one lifetime. It felt like several, or at least. And that was putting me into a spin, and I was really going, I don't know if that answer's worse than the first fucking statement. That was like, I preferred not to hear that at the time. And then, so I'm sort of dealing with that. And then I'm going through the accident again and again, because nothing else to do, hospital, just keep, and it's like there's all this, everything goes in slow-mo. It's like, so as the car hit me, and I could see I'm going over the handlebars, and I could feel my legs snap through the handlebar, and then I'd start to flip, and then there's this gap. It's like a 2-second gap, maybe 1.5 second. But so basically the leg hits the handlebar, and then the next thing I can remember is about this third somersault. It must have been second or third somersault through the air, 1 to 2 seconds later. And as I'm flipping through the air, because my leg was broken, I was like, oh no, I'm still alive. And then something hits me in the back, and I go, oh no, that's one of my limbs, and I'm not that flexible, so that's got to be an arm or a leg, this is not good. So then I land, and the rest of that story. But I go, what's that gap? Why is there a gap? Why can't I remember that? I can remember every other little detail, all people's faces, expressions on their face, all sorts of stuff, but there's this 1 or 2 second gap. And I kept asking that question for maybe a week, nearly 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden I remembered that gap. And what happened is, just as I've hit the handlebars, I thought that I was going to get squashed. Like, if I don't get killed by the accident, the cars behind me are going to run me over and kill me, so I bailed out of the body. I went out and I went to what I call the other side. And this is what I believe Christians call Judgment Day. It's what I call life review, because I went on the other side in our linear time, it was 1 to 2 seconds. I went to this movie theatre. It felt like a big movie theatre, a big black room. There was no other presence there. It felt like no presence of God, no other presence. It was just me in this movie theatre. And the timeline that it felt like was about 3 months, 24 hours, 24/7, 3 months, watching a video of my life, all of my choices that I'd ever made. So every single choice, hundreds of choices per day, like just the little choices. Oh, will I go left or right, for the motorbike thing? Will I, say hello to this person? Will I, get up and dance in this thing? And so it's what I call faith or fear. Every choice, we have a choice, and we choose faith or we choose fear. Do we follow our faith or do we follow fear? If we follow fear, it was all the little fears. The fear of being rejected, the fear of looking stupid, the fear of upsetting somebody. No big fears, none of the, not the big things like, do I take a new job, do I move to a new country, nothing like that, do I get married? It was all the little choices, hundreds of them per day. And so one of the big ones that I remember, it was kind of like, if you've ever seen the movie Sliding Doors, which came out a few years later with Gwyneth Paltrow, she goes through all these events and she has this thing, and then it rewinds and she has a thought, she goes, should I do that or that? And they rewind it and they show her what happened the other way. So this is what happens on the Judgment Day, or on the life review. And it's you that's reviewing it, it's you that's judging it. There's it feels like no other presence there. And you see what you did, and then it rewinds and it shows you, had you made the other choice, it shows you what would happen. So this one particular one which really stood out to me, I was a teenager, there was this girl walking down the street, and I think, she seems quite nice, I should say hello, just as I'm walking past. And then I go, oh no, she'll think I'm weird, or she'll think I'm a creep, or something like that. That was my fear speaking. But where did the instinct to say hello come from? It's just an urge. Why didn't I just say hello? That was my faith, just say hello. Obviously I didn't, so I know what happened. My life when others did, and it was, average. Not average. It was a good life, but it was average compared to what I saw. They rewound it, and they showed me saying hello to the girl, and she said hello back, and we got to know each other, and we had this wonderful life. It's like, and it showed me all the way through that. And so I sat there going, all these things for 3 months in this movie theatre. I felt like, and it was showing me, I followed the fear, I followed the little fear. I had that, and I could have had that. I had that, and I could have had that. I had that. 99% of my choices or more, I can remember roughly maybe 5 or 10 choices I made out of faith or courage. All the other ones were little fears. Don't rock the boat, don't upset somebody, don't look stupid. And I was so annoyed after that. I was so annoyed. I was like, when I realised that, I'm like, no way, I'm not going through this again at the end. If this, next time I die, I'm going to make sure at least half of my choices are out of faith. If I can get to that point, I'll be a happy man. It's like, so I started from that point onward, trying to follow my courage more, trying to follow my faith more. So for the next couple of years, I went on with that, and then a couple of years later, 3 years later, I got more into this stuff, and that will continue on in other stories. But this is the faith or fear. That's what I now call my false God, or my real God. It's all from inside. It's all your intuition. It's the feeling from inside. It's not outside. It's like, say hello to this person. Okay, I will. What if they think I'm weird? Well, so what? It's like, I don't want to go through that review and say, oh, that person could have led me onto this and that. No, not again. No, thank you. So that's that part of the story, guys. And join us for another episode. There's more parts to it. This is just an introduction as to why we teach this stuff and why it's so passionate and why it's led to so many wonders and so many challenges at the same time. Thank you, guys. John Dennis, Bequest. God bless.